Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Friday, November 1st Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. We had expected actually a long meeting today, but we had a couple last-minute changes, so we should be out of here hopefully in about an hour and a half, so give you some time back. With that, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Madden to take attendance.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go do a roll call. Mr. Goldberg,
Here.
Mr. Ascion,
Here.
Mr. Davis,
Here.
Mr. Krennic. Mr. Krennic is absent. Mr. Nagler,
Present.
Ms. Silverman,
Here.
Mr. Silvers.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. We have 6 members present.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. With that, let's turn it over to the city attorney for any updates, and if you can go ahead and swear in the public and explain how the public can participate via Zoom, please.
Sure. Good morning, all. No city attorney updates this morning, so I'm going to proceed with welcoming everyone and giving folks the Zoom information. Today's meeting of the Board of Adjustment has been scheduled in a hybrid format with a quorum of the board physically present in the commission chambers located at 1700 Convention Center Drive, and applicants, staff, and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via the Zoom platform. In order to participate in today's meeting, those wishing to participate via the Zoom platform webinar may dial 888-853-5257, which is a toll-free number, and enter the webinar ID, which is 828-6961-5309, or they can log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 828-6961-5309. Any individual wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if they are using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if they are participating by phone. Before I swear in those that are testifying, I'm going to read into the record the city's notice regarding lobbyist registration. If you are appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, you need to register as a lobbyist with the city clerk's office. If you haven't registered yet, you should register before you speak with the board. You do not have to register as a lobbyist if you are speaking only on your behalf and not any other party, or if you are testifying as an expert witness providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information or testimony in this public meeting, or if you are appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance to express support or opposition to any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. If you are an architect, attorney, or employee representing an applicant or an objector, you must register as a lobbyist. These rules apply whether you are appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. Mr. Chair, for those that are testifying here today, I will be swearing them in right now, and those on Zoom, you'll need to be sworn in individually. So all those in chambers that are going to be testifying, if you could please stand, raise your right hand. Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney, appreciate that. Mr. Madden, do we have any discussion items?
We have no discussion items today.
Okay, in your package, you had the minutes from our last meeting, October 11th, 2024. Hopefully you had a chance to review those. I'll entertain if there's any errors or any changes that need to be made. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Mr. Davis, second by Mr. Ascion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, we have actually 2 requests for continuances or withdrawals. So the first one is going to be ZBA 24-0161, 605 Lincoln Road, Unit 800RF. Mr. Madden, can you please tee that up for us?
Yes, the applicant has requested that the item be continued to the February meeting, and I believe that is February 7th. They're not able to make it today. They've had some conflicts and are just requesting that the item be continued for that purpose.
Okay, the second one is ZBA 22-0143, 125-153 Collins Avenue. Mr. Madden?
Okay, so this item is also being requested for a continuance. The applicants are here. They're requesting that the item be continued to the January meeting, and we wanted to confirm that that would be the January 8th, if everybody was okay with January 8th. I did receive some responses that January 8th looks like a good date for everybody.
Just do a quick poll. Everybody still good, just to confirm January 8th? Because I know that's a change of meeting date. It was sent out, just polling, making sure everybody was good for January 8th of 2025.
Fine with me.
Mr. Nagler, you're looking,
I think I'm too late. I just realized an error in the meeting minutes from last time. This is probably too late, so.
but you're good on January 8th?
Yeah, I think so. I just,
Okay.
I guess since we already approved the minutes, it's,
We can have a motion to reconsider if there's an issue.
I'm just realizing I voted against on item 4, and it says 6-0.
Okay.
Doesn't make a difference.
Wait.
Item 4?
You're talking about the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so you found an error on the minutes. It's okay, we can go back. We can go back
I mean,
and
I just-
reopen it. No, if there's an
sorry
error,
about
it
that.
needs to be corrected, so you want to go ahead?
I can make that correction if, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. So we'll just modify the minutes, will be approved, we're approved as modified
Thank
with that. Thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Nagler, appreciate it. Do we need to approve the continuances, or?
Yes, the
Okay, so,
continuances need
so
to be voted on.
let's, I guess we can do them both, we can do them both together, right? Or should
We
do them
can,
separately?
it's better because they're separate dates that we do them both
Okay.
separately.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for the first one on ZBA 24-0161. Any motions to approve?
Move to approve.
Okay, moved by Mr. Davis, second.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Janet. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Let's go to the second one, ZBA 22-0143. Any motions to approve?
Move to approve.
Is that Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Davis, second.
I'll second it, but it doesn't rhyme with move to approve.
Second by Mr. Nagler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We look forward to seeing those next year. Continuing, we have three new applications. First one we're going to entertain is going to be ZBA 24-0167, 5821 Pine Tree Drive. Mr. Madden?
Yes. Okay, so this is related to 5821 Pine Tree Drive. This is an application, has been filed requesting variances from the minimum required sum of side yard setbacks and the minimum required interior side yards in order to construct 2 accessory structures to an existing architecturally significant home. On July 16, 2024, the planning director determined that this was an architecturally significant home. It was built in 1935. If everybody's familiar or not, I can describe what architecturally significant entails.
Yeah, can you please do that? I know we
Yes.
spoke about that in our agenda review. Please do.
Okay, so about 2 years ago, prior to 2 years ago, the city had incentives and requirements to encourage the preservation of homes that were built prior to 1942. Those regulations required that if you were going to be demolishing a pre-1942 home, you had to go to the design review board. And it had a process to get designated as an architecturally significant home where you would receive incentives that would encourage you to preserve the home. The state preempted the city's ability to treat those homes differently in terms of demolition 2 years ago. So the city changed the incentive program to one that could be approved administratively. So you, as a homeowner of a pre-42 home, and actually we changed it to pre-66 home, you'd be able to apply to the city to have your home designated, which was done in this case as an architecturally significant home. It doesn't mean that you can't demolish the home, but it does mean that if you do keep and preserve the architecturally significant elements of the home, you can take advantage of several incentives that the code has. That includes relief for setbacks, so you get smaller setbacks, you get extra height, you get extra lot coverage, extra unit size, as a major incentive to encourage you to retain that pre-1966 architecturally significant home. However, those incentives apply to the main structure. So in the case of this application, they're proposing to build accessory structures, basically 2 detached structures. So these incentives do not apply to those detached structures. If they were attached to the main home, they would not need to be here for a variance. Those architecturally significant incentives would be sufficient to apply to comply with the setback requirements for these 2 structures. So let me get to the specifics of this application. They're proposing two accessory structures. One is a guest house in the rear yard, and then another one is in a side yard parallel to the front yard of the home, and that's going to be for a summer kitchen, outdoor kitchen, and a bar area for the residents to be able to enjoy their backyard. So they need three variances. The first one is a variance of the minimum required side yard setback. Currently, that would be required to be 15 feet, and that's for the two-story guest house in the rear. They want that structure to be parallel to the existing home, so they're requesting that they receive a setback of 8 feet 8 inches on the northern side of the property. So currently, the code requires 10% of the lot width or 10 feet, so in this case, 10% of lot width would be 15 feet. So they're requesting a variance for that purpose. Staff is okay with that because it is a practical difficulty. It encourages and incentivizes the preservation of an architecturally significant home, so staff is supportive of that. The other two variances are related to the second structure that they're adding, closer to the front yard. And so again, they currently have a 45-foot setback for the main structure. So within that 45-foot setback, they want to build this other accessory structure that I described with the summer kitchen. The code again would require a 15-foot side setback. They're requesting that be reduced to 10 feet. And staff finds that is a practical difficulty because if it were attached to the main home, so essentially if you had a continuous wall, they would be able to build that structure without a problem. And then the sum of side yard setbacks is for the same purpose. The code requires that they have a 25% of the lot be for the sum of side yards. So if you add the setback on the north and the south sides of the property, it would have to be 37 feet 8 inches. They're requesting that be reduced to 18 feet 8 inches. Same reason, staff is not opposed to that. So with that, staff recommends that the three variances be approved, subject to the conditions in the attached draft order.
Okay, before we hand it over for the presentation, any disclosures on the dais? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Balter, are you going to be presenting? You're Ms. Balter, right?
Yes,
Okay, 10 minutes, good?
yes, more
Okay,
than enough.
let's go ahead and set the timer, please. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. Emily Balter, Burkhardt, Fernandez, Larkin, and Tapanes. Offices at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard. I'm here today on behalf of Jason and Renee Greenberg, owners of the subject property. I'm with our project architect, Jerry Gavkovich, and our general counsel, Judy Scotch-Tenstein, as well as my colleague, Peter Shoemaker, who just passed out our letters of support. I'm sorry. If we could call up our presentation, thank you so much. This is the front facade of the home. The property location, it's a double lot fronting Pine Tree Drive, and it has a water frontage on Indian Creek. It's a mid-block lot. As Rogelio mentioned, we're here today requesting setback variances, specifically because these accessory structures are not attached to the main home. We've provided some relief of the massing. We're before you today. The applicant's goal is to add a guest house and a separate kitchen within the existing expansive side and rear yards, and preserving the existing architecturally significant home to the greatest extent. We'll show you today that keeping these structures detached is a better design. It minimizes the overall massing and it preserves the water frontage. The focus of today's application is mainly the rear yard, so we're including photos of what exists today. As you can see, it is a beautiful rear yard with a beautiful water frontage that we would like to keep to the greatest extent and not block with another structure by attaching it. The home is designated architecturally significant. It was constructed in 1935. The determination for architecturally significance explains that the building remains characteristics of the eclectic style and its variation. It's a recognizable example of Mediterranean revival style, and the aerial photos included in the determination report show that the massing of the home remains nearly intact. On the current survey, you can see how the home and driveway have not changed. The main massing is centrally located between the front and the rear, and it is pulled up more towards the north, so we have that very large south side setback. And here is the proposed site plan where you can see the two-story guest house towards the north. It's in line with the existing north side setback, and the one-story kitchen on the south, it's also in line with the front setback. We've included variance diagrams to show how minimal these variances requests are. Here's another variance diagram. The variances are justified because they meet the standard of the codes for hardship and practical difficulties, specifically maintaining and preserving the architecturally significant home to the greatest extent possible. A strict interpretation of the code, essentially these accessory structures or additions would be permitted at a 5-foot interior setback if they were just attached to the home, but because we're providing that relief and maintaining the views, we're subject to the main home setbacks. If it were not an architecturally significant home, which is 15 feet, these are the minimum variances needed for this double wide lot. We're matching the existing north setback, we're maintaining the front setbacks, and we're keeping openness of the rear yard and preserving water views. If these structures were pulled back all the way into the rear yard setback and they were accessory structures and not considered part of the main home setbacks, they would also not be subject to these strict 15 feet regulations. Also, the overall home is significantly below lot coverage and unit size. We're not trying to max out the double lot. The applicants met with the neighbors that would be potentially impacted by this application. They discussed the design and obtained their support prior to the hearing, and we've included those letters of support in the record today. So with neighbor and staff support, we're respectfully requesting approval of the setback variances. I'm available to answer any questions, and we reserve time for rebuttal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and open it up to public comment. Do we have anybody here in the chamber, anybody on Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom, please raise your hand. Nope, nobody.
Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. I'll open it up to board members for questions through the chair. Well, not very often, we get no questions. I guess you did a really good job presenting, Ms. Bell. No questions? You thinking, Mr. Yasion?
No, I don't. I haven't. First of all, what a great deal! This purchase of this house in double lot back in 2020. It's a congrats to the buyers and the new owners. It looks great. It looks great to me.
Okay. We have no comments for the board. I'll agree with Ms. Yasin. Beautiful home. Great project. You know, it's going to be awesome. You know, we wish the homeowners the best. So with that, I'll entertain a motion. Any motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Silverman, motion to approve, second? Gotta speak up, Mr. Silvers. Second by Mr. Silvers, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations to the Greenbergs. Wish them the
you.
best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Walter. Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead to our second request is ZBA 24-0165, 6 Lagore Circle. Mr. Madden?
Okay, so this is, an application has been filed requesting a variance from the minimum required rear setback in order to construct an accessory building to an existing single-family home. So in this case, this is an existing home. The home was built in 2013. The applicant is requesting to construct an accessory structure in the rear yard. This would be a cabana structure in order to improve the use of the rear yard. The structure is proposed to be adjacent to the pool and lined up with the pool in the way that makes the most logical sense. The applicant is requesting a variance. Currently, the variance is for a minimum required rear yard setback of 15 feet 3 inches in order to construct that structure with a rear yard setback. So, the required yard setback is 15 feet 3 inches, and they're requesting to be constructing that structure with a setback of 12 feet 8.5 inches. The current setback, it requires 15% of the lot depth with a minimum of 20 feet or a maximum of 50 feet. So the applicant, if they wanted to comply with the rear setback, would have to essentially demolish the pool, rebuild the pool, and construct the pool with a revised setback. That would be prohibitively expensive to do that just to comply with this setback. So that is a practical difficulty for the applicant. In order to be able to maintain their existing structures and fit the structure in the appropriate location, the setback is required. We looked at the neighboring yards. The neighboring yard closest to this has an accessory structure with a similar setback. The intent of this setback is to preserve views to the sides. If you have waterfront lots, this is a waterfront lot on Lagos Island. There's no view being blocked here because there is a structure on the adjacent lot at a similar location. So there's no negative impact from the issuance of this variance. So it is a practical difficulty. Staff is supportive of the proposed variance and recommends that the board approve the variance, subject to the conditions in the attached draft order.
Okay, before we hand it over for presentation, any disclosures from the dais? Okay, with that being said, Mr. Smith, you're going to be presenting the owner of the house. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in. 10 minutes good?
Yeah, plenty.
Okay.
Ours
Go ahead and
is
set the
very,
clock 10
hopefully very
minutes.
simple, so.
All right, floor is yours. Go ahead, Mr. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Madden.
You're welcome.
Sean Smith, the owner of 6 Lagar Circle. This is my wife Stephanie. Architects, we have Rafael Pertuando, who, for him to come, and Carlos Esteban. So I will go quickly, but as this is our current home. As you can see, sorry, I can see there, right? Do you want to walk through with this or anything or not? Do you want to show anything or we good? Okay, all right, so the existing pool, as you can see, we're trying to center the structure on our current pool. We went through and did a lot of different revisions, and it really came down to we would have to destroy and take down and demo our entire backyard. So all we're asking for is 2.5 feet. And that is really all we're asking for at this time, to be able to center this structure on our pool in our backyard. So you can see here, we have it centered. We have here showing where it steps up. We are not changing anything in terms of the height is by code 9 feet. And we are also, what's the other? We have.
All the other codes are.
Yeah, all the other codes are met. So it's going to be much higher than our current pool. It's higher actually than our home currently because it is now 9 feet instead of 8 feet. So we have not changed anything. All we're asking for is the 2.5 feet. As you can see here, here's another one. Another thing I'll point out, and this is a testament to Mr. Rafael Pertuando here, but our home, when we designed it, we wanted it to be something that fit the lot. It wasn't too much of a home that was, just on you. We have a lot of white boxes that are being built in the city that are much more, out of scale. Is that correct? And our home is actually set back, and we did it in a way that it, kind of was welcoming to the home and to the neighborhood. This is the structure. It has a pool. It has a bathroom. Has a little kitchenette, and again, it's for our use at the pool. This is here. It's going to be enclosed, air conditioned, enclosed, air conditioned. This is actually a quick rendering. It's showing our pool currently as it is, really not making any other changes other than a little bit of some pathways. And then we are, as you can see, it has the doors closed in this image. And then this is actually the current state. That's our home as it is today. And we felt we needed something we designed a long time ago, but are deciding to do it now. So this is it here, the side. And as you can see in these images, you can see that our hedge and our neighbor's hedge is actually over 14 feet. So they will not see the top of the roof or anything. So it does not bother them at all. And I think that is it. Did you have anything to add? No, we're good.
This is actually one of the homes we're most proud of. And I think that one of the things that we're all trying to do is make sure that it follows a sort of an aesthetic approach to architecture. This is a house that we did
2013.
2013, and it actually looks fantastic still. So I just wanted to let him know that I'm behind him 100%. So, all good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Go ahead and open up the public comment. Do we have anybody here in the chambers or on Zoom, Mr. Madden?
If anybody on Zoom, please raise your hand. Nope, no hands raised.
Okay, I'll go ahead and entertain questions from the board. Wow, this has
Through the
never
chair,
happened.
I
This has
have-
never happened.
Just out of curiosity.
I have to ask one question.
Okay,
just
all
so
right.
you- Something that came all the way down here.
Well, hang on,
I-
let's start with Mr. Davis, then we'll come back to you.
I,
Mr. Estes.
I see it's 14 feet. I assume the neighbor, that would be on their east side of your property?
Correct.
They have no comment on it, or?
No, actually, I received an email from him. He was very, sorry I didn't have it up here, but he, so far has been good. He just wants to know a timeline. That was really his only questions.
Mr. Ashion?
Yeah, and he actually has a pavilion that would abut to your pavilion, right?
Yeah.
And are you keeping the hedge, or do you
Yes.
need to eliminate it for the,
No, the hedge will remain.
Stay as is?
Yeah, correct.
and you have, and how much space between the hedge and the,
Not much.
the wall?
It's the side setback is, what is it, 7 feet? I believe?
7.5.
7.5 feet, so, but the hedge does come off maybe another foot or so, so maybe 5.5.
Because I see that you have two doors. Am I right here? Is this two doors?
No, those are windows in the back.
Oh, these are windows.
Yeah, windows in the back.
Got it. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Okay. That being said, I'll entertain any motions. Move to approve by Mr. Davis, second. I haven't seen him, I got your last name. Second by Mr. Silvers.
I'm sorry, just out of curiosity, this sink that's here facing the water, is that for a bar setup, or what is that sink for?
Which one is the kitchenette is just, no, it's not something that would go outside.
No, I
It's
know,
on the
but I'm just
inside.
curious to know, what is that sink?
It's a kitchenette, like we would have actually, like for, when we have parties out there and stuff.
Cool,
so.
sounds good, it's gonna have a nice window.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor, and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Smith, enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
And
for
I-
coming in and presenting, appreciate
After
it.
this was done, I just want to say, Mr. Madden and his staff were great to work with and very supportive and very helpful. I don't think we say that enough about them, but they were great, so
They-
thank you.
See, staff.
Thank
is
you
always
very much
great.
for the
Thank you,
kind words.
thank you for that
Appreciate
comment,
it. And
appreciate
good luck and
it.
enjoy your home.
Have a good day.
Your home looks beautiful.
Great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay. Our last item is ZBA 24-0166, 5473 North Bay Road. Mr. Madden?
Okay, so this is an application has been filed requesting a variance from the minimum required interior side setback for an existing architecturally significant home in order to construct a garage addition. So this home was determined to be architecturally significant by the planning director on June 28, 2024. The home was originally constructed in 1925, and the applicant currently has an area where they park their car in the side yard, sort of a carport, and they're proposing to enclose that and turn it into a garage. The garage would be a one-car garage, but they are proposing that there be a stacker so they can have a second car stacked on a second level inside of that garage. Because it's architecturally significant, they are allowed to have a 5-foot setback rather than the typical 7.5-foot setback that would be required otherwise on a lot that's less than 65 feet wide. However, in order to fit the garage, they do need a few extra feet. So they are requesting that that setback be reduced from 5 feet to 3 feet on the southern side of the property. Staff is not opposed to this, and that's really the only place they could have a garage, so it is a practical difficulty. It does incentivize the retention of this pre-1966 architecturally significant home, so staff is supportive of the proposed variance and recommends that the Board of Adjustment approve it, subject to the conditions in the attached draft order.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any disclosures? Okay, with that being said, we'll go ahead. Mr. Morero, you're going to be presenting, and Ms. Balter?
Yes,
And set the clock for 10 minutes. The floor is yours.
thank you, and good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mickey Marrero from Burkheimer Del Fernandez. With me is my colleague, Emily Balter. If we could get the presentation, up, thank you. So I have a much longer presentation. I think I'm going to try and condense it a little bit. A lot of what was said was similar to Emily's hearing from about 10 minutes ago. Our client came to us hoping they wanted to preserve the home. It's a beautiful Med Revival home. As you all know, when the state rules changed, the Design Review Board no longer has control over these architecturally significant homes, so anybody can simply demolish them and build new. Most of our clients, frankly, are doing that. The city, I think staff gets excited when we come in with one where they're trying to preserve the home. This is the case. This family wanted to preserve the home. They love the style. Their neighbors were hopeful they would preserve the home. So as you can see, it's located on a relatively narrow lot, in a small lot on North Bay Road. It is just over 7,000 square feet, and it's a narrow lot, which is why we're here. They did really need to get the variance for the garage. They're having constantly environmental issues with the car, so they wanted to get the cars in the garage. Because of the home siting where it is, there's no way to do it. The garage is narrow as it is, at just over 10 feet. It's for a garage that's relatively narrow. So we did work with staff. We went through the entire process of architectural significance. Of course, the home was approved. It has retained all of its architectural character from 1925 with very limited modifications. As you can see, it qualifies for that determination. We received that in June. Here are some of the historic homes of the property. It was built in 25, but you can see it through an aerial in 1941 and a picture of the home in 1953, which looks substantially similar to what's there today. There's the home now. So as you can see, here's the design of the proposed site plan. The lot is extremely narrow. Without a variance, we could not do any garage there. And the client would have been more inclined to potentially demolish the home, which is not what they wanted to do, but we found a good solution and have worked well with staff to get there. There you see the car, not a lot of space to work with. Some more elevations, and then you can see that it's important because of the limited space. We see staggers in commercial and multifamily properties quite a bit. We rarely see them in single-family homes, but they are approved to go there, and we're doing that here to keep both cars enclosed because of the limited space with the garage. There you can see the extent of the 5 foot, and we're asking for a variance of 2 feet because we only can make it work with 3. We believe the variance is more than justified, primarily because of there's always other reasons where we really need the space to make it work, to address environmental issues with the cars and the protection. We've done it the most efficient way as possible, so it really is the smallest variance we could ask for. But I think the biggest condition is the architectural significance of the home. Courts have ruled that preserving a historic home and working with a property with a historic home, and in this case architecturally significant, is a hardship, and that is what we have in this case. Most importantly, I think, as has been the trend this morning, we haven't had any opposition. He met with the neighbor most closely impacted by the setback. The neighbor is thrilled that they're keeping the home, and they're completely supportive of this variance request. They provided a letter. We provided it to you all, and it is in our presentation. We provided it to staff. And with that, I would conclude. We're excited for the Pullman family to keep this home and get this little project underway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and open up the public comment. Do we have anybody on Zoom, Mr. Madden?
We have nobody on Zoom.
Okay, I'm going to open up to the board for questions. Wow, I've never had the board be so
You
quiet.
gave us a bunch of easy stuff this morning.
We got to throw them some curveballs, get some like complicated
We were
things out
hoping
here.
to, but they got continued.
Well, I can tell you the two things that were
First of all,
continued.
I'm on that street all the time. My dad lives on 59th and North Bay Road, so when I go out and I look at all the sites, and it's great when you have someone that's really restoring and keeping it and not knocking it down, because there's so much going on in that street. Listen,
know.
drives my dad crazy, and you all know my dad, because everything around him on 59th and North Bay Road is mammoth, and he'll have to do something eventually. But it was really interesting because it is kind of tight, like you said. So I'm just curious how it's going to work. So it's up and down. Okay, so it's empty. There's no cars. So a car pulls in, right?
Yeah.
And then you hit a button, you get out, you hit a button, and it raises it. And then the second car comes in and just pulls in underneath.
Right.
But what if the second car the one on top needs to leave, and the one's down there? You got to go out. It's a little bit of a hassle, but it's still.
It is a little bit of a hassle. Obviously, there will be some, when you have situations where people are constantly coming in and out, you will probably have one car that may be parked outside. But since it's a single-family home and it's just husband and wife dealing with it, they're going to have to work out the mechanics of the car. But yes, there will be occasionally the
Well,
conflict.
the,
of having-
the offset is, you basically have a two-car garage, with limited space, so, it's gonna look great. I mean, the house looks great, on the front, curb appeal's great, so,
Same process as a tandem space. You still gotta get out to get the.
yeah, I know, I want to ask a question, Mr. Vice Chair, okay? Someone's gotta ask a question. Are you raising your hand, Mr. Dagler?
yeah.
No, it's too late, it's too late.
I think what you're saying is they need a full-time valet working there also to make this work.
Well, the way I look at it, they have three cars, and like that car that's always gonna be on the top is gonna be like, I mean,
I get it.
you can see the car that was in the driveway in the picture. Maybe the Porsche is gonna stay up there, and that's the weekend car to go out. Who knows? They're figuring it out. That's not in our purview to.
No, mine would be the one that's stuck on top, and it would be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the picture. It almost looks like the scope of work goes outside the property line. Am I just misreading this? Okay, so it's not, all right.
No, we're 3 feet from the property line. I'm not sure, wait, sorry about that.
A yard from a first down, all right.
You said the lot size was 7,000 square feet on that lot,
I
right?
think it's 70,
Yeah, it's funny because that's kind of one of the
775.
that's kind of one of the smallest lot size on North Bay Road, because I grew up
Yeah.
on 44th and North Bay Road. It's big, but some of those ones on the dry side. But you know what? It's not a bad thing to be on the dry side, especially you bought the house 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
You
Yeah.
bought it right.
yeah, look, it is one of the smaller lots, and because of that, we're limited and constrained. But the process, at least, it works in this case. It gives folks the ability to get these incentives if they preserve the homes, and that's what happened. So I think the city process resulted in its goal here.
All right, last call, Mr. Silvers. Okay, turn your mic on, please. There you go. Right here.
Okay. The addition on the side elevation of the garage. Can we point to that for a moment? Okay. It's a blank wall. It's like 2 stories high.
Right?
It's a blank wall on page A31. That's the side elevation of the, right, that's it. I would like to see more of a residential continuation of the design of the building, so it's not a blank wall to your neighbor. So if you can incorporate windows, that would be consistent with the architectural style. I think it would improve the aesthetic for your neighbor looking
I
instead of.
think that
looking
there's a
at-
bush between the properties, right?
There
When I
is
looked at it,
right.
there's a bush, how many feet high? Yeah,
Yeah, but it's the bushes.
yeah.
I mean, I will tell you, I think since it's a garage, they just wanted to keep it as contained as possible, and there's such limited space. We did talk about that briefly, and the neighbor
I'm just asking
likes
you
it as
to
is.
add some sort of add some windows on the second level, so it looks out. So they don't look at a blank wall. Remember, you're only 3 feet from the property line. That means you're maybe 8 feet from his building, looking out or looking up. So what I'm asking you is to add windows on that blank wall that would be consistent with the architectural style of the overall building. I don't want to, it's like the Fontainebleau built that giant addition 50 years ago to shade the Eden Rock sun deck. There's no windows on the north side of the Fontainebleau Tower. So I'm just trying to get away from that.
Understood.
And create some sort of continuation. I just don't want to see.
I think the applicant wants
Yeah,
to
and
respond.
I hear you, and I actually don't disagree with you at all. My only concern is that we showed this exact neighbor this plan, and he liked it as is. So could we make it so that it's at least work with staff to add
That
some
neighbor
inspiration?
could be, that neighbor could sell his house next week.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at overall, over time.
I'd like to ask staff if, I don't think that's in the purview of us to start asking them to change the design. Can you comment on that, please?
If you see that changing the design can mitigate the impact of the variance, that would be within your purview. I do agree, there is a big hedge there, so the windows likely would not be visible because of that hedge.
But the hedge is only 10
but
feet
yeah.
high. I mean, this is,
Yeah.
this.
Well, we
the
do have a
structure-
letter of support from both the budding neighbors.
Look,
So-
I don't disagree with you, that's why I'm struggling here, but my only concern is I've had multiple hearings in front of the DRB where the neighbors have requested there not to be a window for privacy concerns. So my fear would be agreeing to this and it being a black and white condition, and then the neighbor that agreed to support it all of a sudden no longer is happy with That's my concern. I don't have a problem with the window, I just don't want to disrupt the happiness between the neighbors.
Mr. Nagler?
What if they paint a window on the side, like looks like a window? Does that work? Can you like paint a window? Well, because he's worried about people looking out the window, but if it's just painted on the side.
I mean,
I don't.
all you have to do is put a window that you can't see through,
Right.
so it looks like a window.
So
Can he work with that?
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
still a
it's up to
wall,
the
but
board.
it's
but-
it's a
Let's
window.
keep discussing. I think Ms. Ashion has a comment. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, to the comment on the window, again, that hedge is how many feet and the top of the roof is how many feet?
And the hedge is, I think, just over at 10 feet.
And the top of the roof there is how many feet?
20 feet.
No, it's 15, right?
I mean,
15.
it's 3 feet away.
15
15.
feet. How much space is there between, that hedge belongs to the property?
Yes.
So how much space is there, because you said there's a 3-foot variance, that hedge has to take up some feet. So how much space is there from the end, the side of the hedge to the side of the wall?
At most 2 feet, because the variance is 3 feet.
About 3 feet from
The
the property line?
setback is 3 feet from the property line, correct?
Right, but that hedge, I'm gonna guess probably takes 2 feet, so you might have a 1 foot between the hedge and
Right.
the wall.
I said at most 2
that's
feet, somewhere
super
between 1
tight.
and 2
Oh, yeah.
feet.
Whose
The only-
hedge, whose hedge is it?
They're saying that it's their hedge.
Is it your hedge?
Yeah. So just as
There's
a,
hedging on both sides, but
Yeah,
it
right.
goes into our side too.
But
yes.
where's the CBS walls, on your property or the other property?
Right.
It's
The
in
4
it's in
foot-
ours.
Huh?
It's in ours.
It's yours?
Yeah.
All right, let's let Mr. Ashion finish, and if you want another comment.
so
say,
another
go ahead.
thought going on to the suggestion that was asked regarding a window. There might be the idea of having a thin horizontal window that's maybe like 6 inches that runs along the top just for light purposes into the garage. That might be something that maybe they didn't think about, that could give a little appeal from the side and at the same time give some light, natural light into that garage, which it won't be sort of like a big detriment since it's a thin window, just for light purposes, and it'll give some aesthetic to the outside. That's just a thought. My other question was, are they installing electrical into the garage for chargers in the future?
I'm not aware of that.
I'm just saying, because if they are, I imagine that there should probably be some electrical plans for charging stations in that space.
My understanding is currently the cars don't require electric chargers. I don't think that's part of this plan.
Got it. I would probably recommend them that even though they don't have it, if they're doing the build out, to might as well add the electrical for a level 2 charging station or something like that, because come down the line, very near future, they're probably gonna have one. And if they're going through the effort of building it out, they should definitely consider adding electrical for the future. Just a suggestion.
And I appreciate it, and I will definitely share that with them. One thing I'm just thinking out loud as to Mr. Silver's concern, and Mr. Escalona, I agree with what you're saying. I think we're all just want some fenestration, some activation of that wall. Can we, if Rogelio is comfortable, a condition where we will work with staff and the architect to provide some fenestration if possible, just so there's not, something so black and white that if it can't be achieved, we have a problem?
Yeah, subject to the review and approval of staff, the applicant will work to improve the fenestration of the south facade.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture I took when I went out and did the site visit. There's actually, these trees are really tall. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 4 large trees. I'm looking at my picture when I did the site visit. I mean, those are well in excess of the height of the roof and everything. And I would assume, block out, most of the stuff. My comment is, and I appreciate the board members' comments. And again, pictures don't do it justice. That's why I go out and I look at these sites, and I literally get out of my car and I looked at it. And I understand your comments, appreciate it, but I don't think we should make the applicant do something that they don't need to do, their neighbor doesn't want them to do. If they don't want light in the garage, they don't want light in the garage. It's very narrow. And I think, asking them to do that because you feel there should be light, well, that's their option, whether or not they want light. And also on the electrical stations, if they don't have any electric cars now, they can always add it. It's really not that complicated to add a charging station. So I don't think that would be a need. And that's my comment on it.
I just want
Hang on, Mr. Nagel, and I'll come to you.
I have a question. It's not about painting anything on anything, but seriously, regarding your picture you took, you said there's tall trees.
Yeah.
And a serious question, I don't know what type of trees those are, but I'm presuming you wouldn't be allowed to just cut them down.
That's correct.
I think there's certain
Good
trees
point.
that you have to
They're not
come to the
his
city to get approval to cut down
But
certain
whose trees are those? Are they the neighbors' trees?
Regardless of who owns the
Yeah.
trees, my point is
Yeah, you can't just go in.
I think it's
You're
like
right.
essentially like
Yeah.
against the law to just like cut down the trees. So those trees are going to remain there, but for someone doing it illegally or getting city approval.
Is there a picture, Ms. Murrow, of, I mean, I can't just take my phone and pass it around, that really shows that side where the trees are? I mean, for me to pass around my phone makes no sense.
mean,
Well,
I
well,
can,
you see, but you can't really see
You really
this.
can't
You
tell.
can't really
I
see.
can, we didn't include it in the, I didn't know this would become an issue. I can share this with you. I can just kind of walk it around. You can kind of see how it extends, as Mr. Isom said, pretty far into where the addition is going to be.
Oh, okay, that's,
And then there's
okay, yeah. Yeah, that's not part of the presentation, all right, Ms. Assion? No. You, was that Zoom? Okay, yeah. Yeah,
it comes out pretty.
yeah, but Ms. Alcyon actually has it. That hedge is really, yeah, that hedge is, and it's well manicured and all that. I mean, that's, they can't see anything. The neighbor's not gonna be able to see.
If, just to get a middle ground here, because I want to make sure we get the 5 votes, can we put a condition where we will explore with staff? That way, if the neighbor wants it and it works, nothing, this plan is not, we're not tied to this, we can add it. I think it's a good idea. I just don't want to be in a position where we're stuck to one thing that can't be done. But we're happy to explore with your staff and with the architect to find some fenestration. And I think there may be something we can do.
Absolutely.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I like the project generally, but I think Mr. Silvers makes a great point. So I'm asking Mr. Madden, are there any other examples of a, 2-story residential garage like this and what they did on the second floor within the city that you're aware of?
I can't think of a case off the top of my head where we issued a variance like this for a garage so close to the side yard setback. Generally, when you're building a new home, we have a requirement that if a facade is greater than a 2-story elevation is greater than 60 feet in depth, we do require you to have an open court in the design in order to minimize that flat wall look. So that is a code requirement that we would enforce on new development. But if the length is less than 60 feet, we would not impose a requirement for any sort of fenestration like that.
But again, it's, and the example is
Yeah.
obviously a good one being I think it was called the spite wall between the Muffson family and West on the Eden Rock.
Yeah, big Supreme Court case on that.
Yes,
one.
yeah, well aware of it.
Yeah.
But the same thing though, within the city of Miami Beach, how many second floor garages with just a blank wall like that are there?
I can't think of any. Most garages don't go up 2 levels that I'm aware of. This is a rare condition.
The one condition the similarity is I had a project that had to go to DRB for 1415 Marseille because it was subject of a lot split. And there we showed a window on the second level. It wasn't a garage, but it was the second level of the home. The neighbor came to the hearing and objected, asked us to remove the window because of privacy concerns. So we actually had to modify it. That's why I'm sensitive to that. And knowing that we showed someone the plan and he agreed to it, I just don't want to be stuck. That's my only concern.
Mr. Assion?
Yeah, in this particular case, there's nobody that would be looking out that window just because obviously it's a car that's in the
Understood,
second level. And so my thought was something like this, sort of like this kind of a window that goes over the garage kind of a thing is what I was saying. And just out of curiosity, is there any requirement that they must have that hedge cut back a certain number of feet to have the separation, sort of an easement or, have access on the side between the wall and the hedge? Is that a necessity or no?
I don't believe so.
So it
If
could,
there is,
the
it would
hedge
be like a.
could grow right onto the wall and
I
not, it
believe
wouldn't
so,
be a problem?
yeah. Unless there's a fire code requirement, which I don't believe there is.
That's sort of where I was going, just
yeah,
out of curiosity
Just
of
to
that.
access the rear. There's no planning requirement for that to happen. I'd have to reach out to the fire department to see if
So
they have
my
any
comments
concerns.
were not subject to giving this an approval. My comments were more of a recommendation to the owner. Obviously, it's their home, but I think that having sort of like a thin light to go into there and adding 220 volts into that garage for a charge in the future is highly recommended. Again, not subject to my approval or not.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Silverman?
How would you access, if the hedge grew to the wall, how would you access the back of the home? You'd have to go through the home, right? Because the other side is also blocked.
Well,
I think they have landscape, they're gonna cut the hedge. I mean, it can grow, and it obviously is robust, but they obviously will be maintaining it so they can access the house. I don't think their goal is to completely block it out.
Ms. Silverman, to answer your question? You good? Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll entertain a motion. Any motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve?
Approve with an amendment that they incorporate window treatment on the second level of the garage on the side elevation.
Can we like straw poll that or something like that?
What's that?
Because that motion is to require, I mean, that would,
It's my motion.
okay,
Well,
that's
if
fine.
there's no second, then
Let's
it
see, if there's no second, it's gonna die. Okay, we have a,
Can I
Ms.
make a
Morel?
friendly suggestion? I still think it's a good idea, so if we can, just so that we're not stuck to this without it, would you be okay with it? And I'm happy to propose a motion where applicant will explore with staff, if feasible, to add window or other fenestration.
Well, I think Mr. Silvers is making a requirement in the motion, so let's tackle that
Okay.
first, which I don't agree with, by the way. I don't agree with him, so we'll see if we have a second. If not, it will die.
If it dies, we can move again separately.
Well, then
Yes,
there would
we
be a
can.
new motion.
Yeah, so we have a motion by Mr. Silvers. Do we have a second? Seeing no second, that motion dies. I'll entertain any additional motions, and I cannot make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the project as proposed with the request that the applicant work with staff to explore the option of installing a window on the second floor.
So just to confirm, that
Our
would,
window-
that would not make it a requirement, that would be to explore. Correct, Mr. Davis?
Correct.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Assion. Any
I want a
discussion?
clarification. Yeah, I want a clarification. It's a requirement to look into it, not a requirement to do it. Is that what-
Recommendation, remember, that's why I clarified,
I know I did,
recommendation.
but I,
Recommendation, absolutely.
sometimes it takes me.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have a motion, a first and a second, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. See, they saved everything for the third one to
Yeah.
give you a hard time.
I appreciate it. Keep me on my toes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you all very
and
much.
congratulations to the Pullmans, okay?
You have a
Thank you,
wonderful
Mr.
weekend.
Morero,
Thank
okay?
you.
Have a great weekend.
I'd like to.
Oh, wait, hang on, we're not done. Sit down, guys. I did not close the meeting. Mr. Vice Chair, I did not close the meeting, okay? We're still on. Excuse me, guys. So, our meeting in December, we only have one item, and I understand we may have some issues with a quorum. I think a couple board members have already said they may not be able to be here. So I would recommend, Mr. Madden, that, talk to the applicant and say we may not have a quorum.
Okay.
December is kind of a tough month. A lot of people are traveling. So if you can just make a recommendation to them that, we would suggest maybe moving it.
Moving it to the January, to the January 8th meeting.
That-
Okay.
That would be great, if you all agree. And any good in welfare? Ms. Silverman, go
The
ahead.
January meeting is January 8th.
Yes, the January
January
meeting is January 8th. Yes, that is correct. And then the February meeting, when's the February meeting?
7th. After this meeting, we'll update the calendar so that it shows January 8th, and I'll send out a calendar to the board of the next year's meetings.
Yeah, and we appreciate your patience with, we thought this was going to be a long meeting with the two appeals. Unfortunately, it's something the city, staff can't control, so we appreciate the patience. Okay, with that being said, motion to close the meeting. Okay, you all have a great day, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Okay? Bye.